Died today, September 2nd, 1973, J R R Tolkien, one of the most famous fantasy fiction writers of all time. A distinguished linguist, mythicist, folklorist, writer, and English professor for decades at both Cambridge and Oxford. His seminal work was the publication of The Lord of the Rings in the 1950s. Originally intended to be one novel, his publisher wanted to divide it into three. This came almost 20 years after his first famous work, The Hobbit, had been created. Supposedly, Tolkien had written the first line of The Hobbit while procrastinating on grading some papers. I can totally relate. But his publisher wanted The Lord of the Rings, which was over 1,000 pages, to be broken down into 3 separate novels. This is why the value, skill, and continuity of the books is not compromised at all, since they originally were intended to be a novel, an epic, creating a new world, Middle-earth, which Tolkien wrote about extensively. Of course, his work has found its most famous adaptation in Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings trilogy, followed a decade later by his Hobbit trilogy. Tolkien's extraordinary writing work continued until his death in 1973, and thanks to his son, some of his works were published well after his death, as his work about Middle-earth, published both before and after his passing, continued to be some of the greatest fantasy work ever.